Today on CityCast Las Vegas, founder of News from the Margin, Naoka Foreman, helps us explain why mental health challenges among kids in Southern Nevada are outpacing other parts of the country. NPR's regional reporter in the Mountain West News Bureau, Yvette Fernandez, joins us to discuss the fate of nuclear waste in Nevada. And it's been a tough year for lettuce, so we're offering up our thoughts on what it will take to make salad cool again. But before we get to all of that, Treasure Island is offering a pretty cool promotion for folks. They're giving away $200 in free slot play to new and current loyalty club members, really with no strings attached. We've seen lines of like 2 hours, stretching through the casino for people to go and get this. So I'm curious, Yvette, Naoka, is $200 enough for you to sit in a 2-hour wait of free slot play? Like, is that going to do it for you? Will that get you to the casino?
I don't know. There's a little bit of an inflation part of it there too. Maybe they might have to. They might have to up that a little bit.
Yeah, Naoka, what are you thinking? Are you waiting in line for this to get the free slot play? It's like a lottery ticket, kind of, right?
I'm not much of a gambler, but if I was, I don't see what's wrong with it. You're going to see other gamblers, probably people that you see often. So why not? Especially when you've been gambling and spending your money. Now you get a little bit back.
Exactly. It's a good way to draw locals back into the casino, I think. But like you, Naoka, I'm not a big gambler, but I think if they up the ante a bit more, that might get me to wait in line. I don't know if I'm doing 2-hour wait for $200 for, again, like a lottery ticket, but I'm enticed. I want to see them make that offer a little sweeter. So we'll see if they do that. In the meantime, though, let's dive right into it. It's Thursday, August 13th. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Southern Nevadans are the water smartest, and we've saved 200 billion gallons over the years. That's thanks to residents, HOAs, and businesses following watering schedules and replacing grass with water-smart landscaping. Golf courses are doing their part too. They operate within water budgets, and resorts do too, accounting for just 7% of the valley's water use. And even developers follow strict water-smart building codes too. So thank you for doing your part, and keep saving water where it matters most, outdoors. You can learn more at snwa.com. SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency. Hey everyone, we just wanted to give you a heads up that suicide is mentioned in our first segment of the show today, so please take care when listening to this first topic. And just know that if you or anyone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, you can always call the Suicide Crisis Lifeline at 988. There's help available 24 hours a day. All right, Naoka, we'll start with you. Obviously, mental health is a big issue here in the Valley for everyone, but particularly for our youth. What exactly is going on? I know you went to a summit recently, kind of diving into some of the things that we're dealing with here in the Valley.
Yeah, I recently attended the Avery Burton Foundation's yearly luncheon at the West Las Vegas Library. And what that foundation focuses on is equipping people, volunteers, for free with training for mental health first aid. The luncheon also awarded incoming college freshmen with scholarships as part of its mission to build up that pipeline of students going into college.
So anybody studying that field, essentially, they kind of get some extra scholarship money?
Anyone who's an advocate of mental health.
Okay,
it's mainly,
nice. I like that.
It's mainly to chip at that stigma for mental health. But yeah, as you said, mental health is a problem in Nevada. It's a systemic issue, and it's showing up among the youth much more than any other group in Nevada.
Yeah, it's surprising. And the question that brings to mind for me, and Yvette, I'd love your thoughts on this if you have gathered information through any of your reporting about like the number of mental health care professionals we have in the Valley. Like, are we lacking access to a lot of them? Or are there not many of them here? Because when I hear that Nevada is ranked dead last in the nation for youth mental health access, that just is, again, surprising to think about. So it must be an issue of like, we just don't have enough of those people that can help them, correct? Is that kind of the read on it?
That is kind of the read on it. I mean, unfortunately, Nevada is not known for providing good medical care overall. It's difficult to access support for everything from caregiving to physician shortages are another. And obviously, when we're talking about mental health resources, those are all certainly areas that are needed and needed to be improved in Nevada. And it's really unfortunate. I did take a look at a couple of data points, and one that I found that I thought was really interesting, according to one report, that over 22% of youth experienced major depressive episodes, and roughly 60% of them received no treatment. So state and regional analysis also highlighted the high cost of insurance denial rates. So the Brookings Mountain West analysis found that Nevada has roughly one mental health professional for every 400 residents, which it says is one of the worst ratios in the region.
Yeah, you don't have to know much about the subject to know that that's not nearly enough, right? I mean, that kind of stands out there. Nayoka, obviously, you went to this luncheon and heard this firsthand. I would imagine you're not surprised to hear that number, but what's actually being done to help the kids, particularly that are struggling with this stuff now? Like, what were some of the action items to come out of that they want to see done?
Yeah, I'm not shocked by those numbers. There's significant gaps in care in mental health here in Nevada. And I also want to highlight some data points as well. Nearly 87% of Nevadans live in federally designated mental health professional shortage areas.
87%?
87%.
Jeez.
And approximately 73% of Nevada youth who need treatment do not receive treatment for depressive episodes. Those numbers are staggering. And to get to your point, what is being done? As I mentioned, the Avery Burton Foundation has this ambitious goal. And I want to talk a little bit about the founder. The founder
Definitely.
is a father who lost his son to suicide. He had a major depressive episode and his son died. And that led him to launch the Avery Burton Foundation and create this ambitious goal to ensure that every Nevada household has at least one family member trained in mental health first aid. Other things that are being done are policies are being created. I'm not sure if the policies are addressing the systemic gap because a lot of these policies that have been passed recently are focused more on regulations and transparency. As Yvette mentioned, that some insurance providers are declining services. So there was a bill that passed to address the transparency issue. Why are you declining these mental health services? But I do want to point out one bill that was passed recently, AB 514, which expanded licenses for mental health. And it created this license called Rehabilitative Residential Mental Health Care. So there are some things that are being done. Is enough being done? Obviously not when we're ranked 51.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's just one of those things where you don't want to hear that. But I can't help as we talk about this, but think about like our school system, which has also historically been ranked very low. And I wonder if there is a direct correlation between Clark County's performance as a school district, or maybe even the size. I know we're one of the largest school districts out there as well, that kind of correlates with this, youth mental health crisis. Like, is there a connection between the two, you think, Yvette?
This is the fifth largest school district in the country, and they do have a lot of issues, but they also have some solutions that they have tried to put forward, and that includes everything from on-demand videos and counseling, that kind of thing, 24/7 helplines, as well as we have the suicide prevention and all of that. They have peer-to-peer kind of resources. So I think that they are trying, and I think as we have been talking about earlier, there are a number of things that have been addressed, but there are so many other things. So it's not just a singular issue. This is a multifaceted, very complex kind of issue, and all these things really play into it. And some of the other things that play into it that beyond access to insurance as well as denials of insurance are also some systemic issues, like maybe, like people talk about their, lack of cultural awareness. There's also, as we talked about before, lack of physicians. But the thing that really stands out from all of that to me is, why does everything have to be an or instead of an and? In other words, we have to make the decision between this thing or this thing, rather than why can't we have a wider and broader response and ability to do. I mean, just before we came on, I got, a news release from the Henderson Hospital just talking about that they're essentially closing down their maternity services, And now, why is that? Maternity services are very much needed. And, women of color suffer more maternity-related issues than other groups. So it's still important and still needed, but it's not exactly what we're talking about in terms of the mental health aspect of it. But I think it speaks to the greater problem, which is
just healthcare, I think.
Just
really,
healthcare,
yeah.
exactly, and how that is certainly lacking in Nevada, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's so sad. And Nayoka, I would love your thoughts on, again, Yvette laid out some of the things that are being done within CCSD. Is there anything that you learned maybe from, the luncheon you went to or just from your reporting and everything that isn't being done that should be, or strategies that possibly have worked in other areas that need to be implemented in Clark County School District? I know phones and things like that in terms of the pouches and keeping them away from kids has been implemented, but it feels like there needs to be more, right?
Absolutely. Something that was discussed at the Avery Burton Foundation was the lack of support for children in juvenile detention center. There was a retired probation officer there, and she mentioned that she can't even fathom how many nooses she had to cut off of children's necks inside of the detention center. And her call was to parents. She was saying, if you have a child that's in a youth detention center, that's actually your time to connect and build a better rapport with your youth. Whereas what she's been experiencing is abandonment. And some parents are even just moving so that they no longer have any connection to that child anymore.
Jeez.
So I think one solution is volunteers. I also visited Child Haven recently, along with the Juvenile Detention Center, to talk with youth and to give them some inspiring words. I think that's another way that people can try to address this mental health care gap by being that volunteer and being that representative for youth who are in need.
Hey there, it's Jesse from CityCast Las Vegas. You know from listening to this podcast that we love this city and we want it to be better. When we get fired up about paid parking downtown or the confusing stuff the LVCVA does with our tax dollars, it's because we live here too. We have skin in the game, so that's why I'm asking you to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. You can join our membership program for $10 a month or $100 a year and invest directly in this team of locals, which means that we can cover the stories that affect us all. And your membership gets you some great perks, including access to our exclusive events. These are in-person events just for our CityCast Las Vegas neighbors. Things like a craft cocktail course at Ferguson's, or access to our neighbors-only holiday party we held last year at Crush Pad Wine Bar. And we're already planning our next members-only event. So join now so you don't miss it. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Thank you, neighbor. We know Vegas has an interesting nuclear history. So Yvette, let's dive into that. What's the latest update with where things could potentially go in terms of nuclear waste in Nevada?
Well, Jesse, Nevada has had a very tumultuous history with, the country's nuclear arms effort and its nuclear waste. But to talk about this, we need to just a little bit of historical context. So Nevada and New Mexico, of course, were literally ground zero for testing nuclear weapons, as we all know, which stemmed back to the Cold War. Since then, though, the search for where to deposit nuclear waste has come right back to Nevada. And Yucca Mountain, which for people who don't know, is about 90 miles northwest of Las Vegas, was designated the place as America's nuclear waste repository. It's been called by many people the Screw Nevada Bill, which originally designated it as such back in the 1980s by singling out Yucca Mountain and cutting out, other states. But so fast forward to the 1990s and early 2000s, a 5-mile exploratory test tunnel was excavated. Then the project moved forward under President Bush, but then it was defunded under President Obama. But over all those years, there's been bipartisan opposition for reviving the project. And so now the Trump administration has said it's going to open the bidding for other states to compete to store nuclear waste in their state. But Nevada lawmakers are trying to take it actually a step further. They want to repeal that 1987 law and have it formally and officially stripped from the books. So it looks like Nevadans are on their way to avoiding reviving the site for nuclear storage.
So, Yvette, you noted that a lot of other places and a lot of the states are competing for the opportunity to do this. Sounds like we don't want it. So, Naoka, I'll bring you in on this one. Why do you think that Nevada is so against it, where other states are like, no, bring it here. We want to dispose of the nuclear waste here?
Because Nevada already has that history of working with that kind of material.
We have nuclear fatigue, I guess.
Nuclear fatigue. But, there's also been a lot of just negative consequences for families, for people who have worked at these test sites. My uncle being one of them, who had cancer and passed away recently, who worked at the test site. So there's this long-standing history here in Nevada, and we know what the effects are on communities, on water, on land, and the workers who will be working at these sites. And that history hasn't left us.
That's exactly the case. I mean, people who have been exposed to radiation have been fighting this since World War II, really, and that to this day, people continue to have cancers that are associated with their exposure. I mean, that's how they started the RECA program, which is the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. And, that was created decades after the war. And for decades, people have been pleading for them to expand the coverage and to do away with what many are calling, arbitrary limitations for the coverage. I mean, for example, victims who lived in Clark County have been excluded from the program. How is that? But it was expanded, with new technology and et cetera, where they learned that, how much these particles have traveled through waterways as well as through the air. I mean, as far away as Guam, and then the people of the Navajo Nation were disproportionately impacted because the majority of the nation's uranium, which is a key component in nuclear weapons, was excavated from the Navajo Nation, and so that's why I think Nevadans and Nevada lawmakers have fought so hard to make sure that this site does not take place here in Nevada.
So I just still am so curious, though, about the states that are trying to get it done in their areas. What do you guys think is the implications of it? Like, are there political implications? Do they really want the financial gain? Like, what do you think is the big motivator for them to really want it to be coming to their area?
I think it's a little bit of both. Exactly that. It's a political discussion. It's also a financial discussion. But I don't know. For me, I really think that there's really two messages here. And one is it shows the resilience of these people and the families, the victims and their families and what they've had to endure. And I think the other aspect of it is that the younger generations who are becoming the future leaders need to learn from these essentially lessons learned. And it's important for them to bring that into the forefront too, and to consider the potential risks for the future. We just finished talking about it. And even, she has a family member. I mean, this is happening today. And I've interviewed so many people who would talk about, their 4 or 5 generations, and now their, baby grandson or granddaughter has, throat cancer because they've been exposed. And so it's not something that just stopped, or there's just a matter of a location, but it has future ramifications.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Jesse, why are states interested in this? The job aspect is a big one. Just like in Nevada, when the test site was initially launched, people moved here in droves for those jobs. And look at the job market today. People are still needing and wanting secure employment, and also the payoff. People are looking for a big payoff in nuclear energy as data centers continue to be a part of the conversation and continue to explode across the nation. And that energy demand is growing. So people are looking to nuclear energy, and states are like, hey, if you have the check, then bring it here.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's so interesting here in Nevada too, just because, I mean, obviously we have so much federal land. I think the second most in the US. Alaska's number one by a large margin. But I wonder how much that factors into things too, because then I think some people will hear that and be like, well, shouldn't it be Nevada just because we have like the space for it? So I guess I'll ask that question to you guys. Like, how much do you think the fact of how much federal land we have here in Nevada should factor into whether or not it does ultimately end up being us that handles this?
I think the issue of federal land is part of the equation as well. You were talking about that, Nevada and Alaska both have a lot of federal land. And we talked about this before when we had a discussion about data centers. And that is becoming the new, discussion of concern, if you will. And right now, there's a big issue with the federal government having made a decision to approve a data center on federal land right near Boulder City. And so that has a lot of people really kind of up in arms in terms of the processes and procedures for making those kinds of decisions. I think a lot of that part comes into it. There's rules and regulations like the NEPA, which requires environmental studies to be conducted. There's also others that requires public input. And the people of Boulder City have said that they didn't get any of that. And so some of the decisions were made to say that we're going to use the NEPA environmental study that was previously used for solar and battery storage and apply that to a data center. And they're saying, no, those are completely different things. One uses energy and the other one takes energy, To me, it comes down to those kinds of policy decisions and how we decide to respond and how responsible we as a society and the government is in making sure that they've taken into account what can and cannot be at risk potentially.
Yeah, Nayoka, I'll point that one to you. I mean, is it as simple as like, we've got the land to spare, so it's got to be us, like almost like a duty? Like, is it that simple?
Not to me, and I don't mean to disrespect anyone's opinion. But
not at all. You have a connection to this, Yeah.
Just because we have federal land, I think that's a cop-out for some people to say it should be in Nevada. We already have our nuclear footprint. We already did that. We tried it. We've already been a part of that industry. And as reports have said, the Trump administration is looking to work with states who are willing to take the nuclear projects. So let the states that are willing take the nuclear projects and allow Nevada to focus on our water crisis.
Because that's a whole nother can of worms.
I think we have other things to address here in our state. And I don't think that taking on nuclear waste is something that Nevadans want to do. We've been constantly speaking out about that. Our lawmakers have, our electeds, our residents. So give it to the states who want it and let Nevada focus on what Nevada needs to focus on.
Hey there, it's Jesse from CityCast Las Vegas. You know from listening to this podcast that we love this city and we want it to be better. When we get fired up about paid parking downtown or the confusing stuff the LVCVA does with our tax dollars, it's because we live here too. We have skin in the game, so that's why I'm asking you to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. You can join our membership program for $10 a month or $100 a year and invest directly in this team of locals, which means that we can cover the stories that affect us all. And your membership gets you some great perks, including access to our exclusive events. These are in-person events just for our CityCast Las Vegas neighbors. Things like a craft cocktail course at Ferguson's, or access to our neighbors-only holiday party we held last year at Crush Pad Wine Bar. And we're already planning our next members-only event. So join now so you don't miss it. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Thank you, neighbor. salad has been kind of an interesting debate going back and forth. And as we were getting ready for the show, we remembered that the last time we talked about the cyclosporiasis outbreak, we had Nyoka on the show. So sorry to bombard you with diarrhea-related questions here, Nyoka. It's seeming to turn into a trend here. I don't know. But the salad chain, Salad and Go, is in the news because they're actually a regional chain for the folks that don't know from Gilbert, Arizona. They had 7 locations here in the Valley. They recently filed for bankruptcy and closed all of their locations abruptly. Among many things, including costs and things like that, they did cite the outbreak of cyclosporiasis that didn't actually impact them directly, but still just hurt their business as a whole, because obviously people not wanting to go and get salad when all that's going around, at least at the same clip. And this one's been really interesting and gotten a lot of attention too, because now a lot of locals were going there and now they're trying to figure out where they're going to go to get their salads and things like that. But also too, it's created a bit of a bidding war between a pair of drive-through coffee chains in Dutch Brothers and Seven Brew for the locations down here too. But it just got me wondering, like, I don't know, I'm not a big, like, let me go and get a salad from a drive-through spot guy. Are you guys going to miss Salad and Go? Like, is this something that was a regular thing for you? Or do you think Las Vegas is going to be missing something now without them?
You know, just based on a nutritional perspective,
Yeah.
a salad versus another coffee places. I mean, nothing against coffee because I drink coffee too, but I mean, do we need more coffee places? Why not replace it with something that also could be nutritional, you know? And I kind of tie it to where, you know, we're starting to see this trend of people wanting to eat better, wanting to cut down, for example, on maybe alcohol consumption. They're using more mocktails. They're also wanting to, you know, go to clubs and have, you know, yoga classes and things like that. I mean, so there is I think a space to allow for people who do want to have something, you know, more nutritional. My biggest thing about the salad place was it was just really expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, the salads were like $10, $12. I remember that.
For a
and I'm
salad, what the hell? That's crazy.
Right? I'm like driving through there. You take my EBT card?
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, you eat there long enough, you're going to need it. Jeez. Nyoka, what do you think? I mean, was this like a spot for you? Do you think people are really going to miss this here in the Valley? I think Yvette brings up a good point, like the health movement that we've seen, obviously, that factors into this as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that the health aspect is something to point out, but I used to drive past the Salad to Go every day, and I never seen anyone in the drive-in. I've never seen a car parked outside.
Oh, so you're not surprised, I'm guessing then.
So I'm not shocked. I was wondering who was keeping the place open, especially when it was right next to Sprouts, and I can go inside Sprouts and get a salad if I needed to. I'm always sad to see a business close its doors, to be shuttered. So that's always a sad thing. It turning into a coffee place. What is it? Is it turning into Dutch Bros? I
so
think?
Dutch Bros put in the initial bid, and then now it's being challenged by Seven Brew. So it's kind of like a battle between the two coffee shops to see who can take over the locations here in the Valley, but also buy all of the Salad and Go locations around the country as well.
You know, I can't hate on that either. You know, people are expanding their business. And I guess that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. No, it is for sure. And it is interesting because, again, this one like got so much play. And I was like, but it's a salad shop, like, huh? But it got a ton of media attention, and fans on, you know, not fans, I guess patrons on Reddit were talking about it. You know, a lot of people weren't too happy about it. Yeah, just that they loved being able to go there and get salads. Apparently, like this was for a handful of them, it was their spot. But a lot of people, you mentioned it, that one of the ones that you saw was next to a Sprouts. In the comments, everyone's like, hey, just go to Sprouts, make your own, save a ton of money.
It is very expensive, and it's expensive to eat well. That's why they have, food deserts and stuff like that, where they talk about. But it is, in a lot of them, you'll see them, they'll be next to something else, a burger place or a burrito shop, and that is how the burrito rolls, right? It's a little bit less. We got two
great references here, how the cookie crumbles, how the burrito rolls.
Just a little bit less expensive.
Yeah, also very true. Yeah. And I guess just like we had talked about, like in the midst of the cyclosporiasis outbreak, like salad obviously gets a bad rap. I never will be able to look at Taylor Farms the same when I go to the grocery store, I think I'm going to be scarred for life because of it. So obviously, like that paired with just Vegas as a whole seems to attract a lot of like viral restaurants and stuff. Recently, we saw The Hat come over from California with their pastrami sandwiches. There's a pop-up bagels that's going to be coming here as well. They've gone viral. They're going to be opening up in Henderson. Shay's Cheesesteaks we talked about here on the podcast not too long ago. They're a big-time cheesesteak spot from out in Philly. So, like, does salad need a viral moment in order to make a comeback? And if so, how can we do that here locally? Like, what does salad need to do in order to blow up here in Vegas and get people to go back and eat it again?
Maybe salad needs a spokesperson who, lost a bunch of weight,
There you go.
and then they can say, it's all due to salads. Then the salads from the place where they drove through, not to mention the GLP-1, but,
Yeah.
I like that. A spokesperson. I'm going to agree with you on that. A spokesperson will always get it done. The right person to talk about how a salad made them lose 20 pounds on this salad diet. I think that could work.
Yeah. I was trying to avoid making diarrhea jokes, but we talked about it with MJ when we had you on, Nayoka, and he said he's like, cyclosporiasis, lose 20 pounds, I'm in. So maybe that's the viral moment. You eat the sandwich or the salads and you drop the weight that way. I don't know.
I
maybe
was trying to avoid the word explosive, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Explosive.
Exactly.
That was the main thing the doctor pointed out, that's the main symptom, explosive.
And that's how you can lose weight, too.
Yeah. As an aside, all of that sounds so unpleasant as we were reading up for it. My God, enough to scare me off of any veggies for the last month or so. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to take for salad to make a comeback here in the Valley. Maybe somebody down on the Strip needs to do something big. At Piero, shout out to Rob, one of our editors here. He actually said it's the garbage salad over at Piero's. That's one that has drawn a lot of people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people that they're like, ooh, man, we're going to Piero's and we're going to get the garbage salad, which sounds horrible, but it's actually very good. I've had it before.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just need to amp up the messaging for that and then just let people know, hey, we've got a competing salad and you can maintain your weight and health.
There you go. It's multifaceted. Salad can do everything.
There needs to be a rebrand of salad.
Yes. Yeah, we need something fun with it. We'll put our heads together here, go back to the drawing board, see if we can get salad to be cool again and attract some folks out here to come and get it. In the meantime, thanks to both of you for joining us here today. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, though, take care.